Okay, so we've made 2D forms, we've made 3D forms, and now we need to manipulate them. We need to move them around a little bit and do different things. So let's start with our cool sphere. Okay, and we'll give it a radius of 10, just because, and render it out. So you'll notice when the sphere is generated, it gets generated right in the middle of our whole preview, right? So the x-axis goes right through the middle, the y-axis goes right through the middle, and so does the z. Now, we're not always going to want our objects to be like this. We want to move them around. So we're going to use a command called translate, and that goes before the object or objects we want to move. Translate, okay? And we need to use parentheses, and we need to use square brackets as well. Okay, and we're going to have 3 values. We're going to have an x, a y, and a z. Okay. So if we want to translate just on the x-axis, let's say we want to translate 20 on the x-axis. We don't want to move the other axes at all. We replace them with 0, like that. Render it out. So you'll see, let me go back to the original position. You'll see that it moved in the positive direction on the x-axis. So if I change this to negative 20 and render, it moves the opposite way. Okay? Now we can do the same here. We can go 10 on the y. Okay? So it moved up a little bit. Move a little bit more so you can see. Moving up there, that's the positive direction on the y. You can tell the difference between positive and negative in the preview because positive is a solid line and negative is this dotted or dashed line. Okay. And z, we can move it. Let's do a negative 25. And it's going to go down, right? Down in the z direction. And of course we can use multiple positions to move it around wherever we want. Now, if it looks like it disappeared, well, that's because it's out of the range. But we can zoom in and out using the wheel on your mouse. Is the easiest way to zoom in and out. There we go. See that? Okay. If you have a touchpad, you can go up and down like that. There you go. Okay. You can also reset the view from here. This. There we are. And you can zoom in here and out with these buttons here. But if you have a wheel on your mouse, it's much easier to do them. Okay, cool. And we can translate other shapes too. So if I change this from a sphere to a cube, it's going to be in the same place because I didn't change the values. See that? And you can move them all around. Right, move over there, wherever you need it to be. Very cool. Alright, so the next thing that we might want to do is we might want to rotate our shape so it's not exactly where it starts, not in the same orientation. So we can do that with, instead of the translate command, the rotate command. And the syntax for rotate is exactly the same as translate. But instead of moving it, it's simply rotating it. And the numbers are, again, x, y, and z. So let's try with these numbers that we have and see what happens. Ah. Okay. It's over to the side there. Cool. So again, it's going to rotate around the x-axis. So let's make these others 0 so we can see exactly what's happening here. Okay. It rotates around this axis that you are changing the number for, right? Change this to 0, just to 25. Okay, now it's rotating around the y-axis. Okay, and there you have it. Now, if you rotate by certain values, it may not look like the object is rotated at all. Oops, we need that 0 there. Okay, it doesn't look like I rotated at all because I rotated it 90 degrees. Rotating a cube 90 degrees doesn't do a whole lot. But if we change our cube to different values here, using the square brackets, Okay, and then we put this back to 0. You can see that, in fact, has been rotating. Right? Right? There you go. Kind of cool. So you can rotate that any way that you want. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to show you is scale. Okay, it's going to use the same syntax again, but we're going to use the command scale. And just so you are aware, there's no semicolon here. Don't do that. Right? That won't work. That'll create an error. Well, actually, I'm sorry. It won't create an error. Just there's nothing for it to scale. It'll just render the cube the way it is. So there's no. It's part of the same command. This whole thing here. Okay. So if we use the scale, whoop, it disappeared. So here's what happens. The scale value is based on 1. So if we want it to be the original value, we're going to want it scale 1, 1, 1. So it's a percentage. That would be like 100%. So if we make this number smaller, like 0.5, it's going to scale just the x part. It's going to scale it along the x-axis only. And then we do it here. It's going to scale it just along the y, right? And then if we do here, it's going to scale it just along the z. Make it like that. And of course you can do combinations, right? Right. In this case, it would be kind of silly to do this because the cube, we would just change the value of the cube. This works better for something like a sphere. And now we can get a very cool shape, right? Because we squished it quite a bit here with the 0.2. 0.2 works, but 0.2 is clearer, so I'll change to that. We scaled 0.2 on the y-axis, so that's why it's so flat. Kind of like a flat diamond or something, a flattened coin. Somebody ran over the car. Very cool. Okay, so have fun with that.